Today I'm working on the back cover piece that goes on the transmission. Of course you can't see, I got it covered up to keep dirt out. This is the back casing. Then there's another part that goes on the back of that. So right now I'm cleaning this surface, as you can see. Pretty bright. I'm actually cleaning this surface right here to make sure that it mates up well with the other side. As you see, all that blue gasket junk everywhere. I'm trying to keep as much out of the case as I can. I'll just wipe it out and clean it out. But got to get all that stuff off there and make sure the mating surface there has no burrs on it to hold it out so it'll leak, you know. So I got to do this first, and then hopefully I'll be able to start actually assembling it today. So till next video. Okay, I've now got it back together, and I just wanted to go through the shifting pattern to show you how well it's doing shifting. So this is either first or second, I don't know. As you see, it shifts first, second, third, fourth, whichever way, and then we got it jams right there. But if I go back and do this, it resets it. It goes up into reverse. I'm not sure. It may have to be rolling. I'm not sure why it does that, but it catches, it seems like. It goes up and down freely there, but it has to be in sync. See, it's actually shifting, so push in for a second. For some reason it doesn't want to go back. I'm not sure why that is yet. If I go like this, it turns it, it'll go up. I don't know if it's a timing issue. I'm not sure what's going on with that. There you see. It's actually shifting, so that's the best I can do, I believe. So there you have it. Till next time. Okay, here we are putting the end cover on the transmission now. Getting it all back together finally. Anyway, I wanted to make note of something here. I want to take this back off, and I won't be able to put it on with one hand. There's a notch right there. See that aluminum extrusion out of the housing? That notch goes right there. And if that is not lined up, this cover will not go on. And then it also lines it up with that clip there, which goes right on the end of that, which is just a piece of plastic. So it's got to line up really good. But anyway, I've got my surfaces cleaned. I'm getting ready to put a thin layer of Permatex on there, and then I'm going to put it back together and see how it does. It might even shift a little bit better. I don't know. Especially since that thing's got to be held in place. So we'll see how it goes. Till next time. Alright, we have got the transmission back together. Okay, it shifts. I put a new throwout bearing in it. Cleaned the fork up there, the clutch fork, and brand new throwout bearing on it. Greased the shaft up some. I'm going to wait to put the, I don't know what you call them, the differential pieces. That's what attaches the axles to the transmission here. Anyway, I'm going to wait to put those in, I believe, until I get it in the car. So I stuffed those holes full of cloth to keep the dirt out. Looks like I might need to recover that right there a little bit. before I go putting it back in, just to keep it clean. But anyway, we are just about there, about ready to start putting it back in. There it is. Unbelievable. Alright. Well, imagine the next video I'll be putting the transmission back in the car. Okay, today, after I've got this thing rebuilt, the Permatex is still wet on the transmission, but I carried it out here by myself from the garage. I got it up underneath this car. Had to jack the engine up and jack the car up at the same time because the transmission wouldn't go underneath the car in its current position. So I had to jack it up, get it up underneath there, then let the engine back down a little bit and let the car back down on the jacks. Car's stable again, but there's the transmission ready to go back in. My dilemma is, how do I do it by myself? Really hard with no lifts or anything. All I have is a jack, and this frame is going to be sitting on that frame down there because I'm not going to be bolting the transmission up yet. There's some holes there where it bolts together, to the engine. I think I'm going to thread a rope through there and through the motor mounts here on the side, as you can see. I'm going to feed that rope through there. I'm going to hold the transmission up onto the frame, back away from the engine. That way I can put the flywheel on and the clutch and pressure plate assembly. The reason I don't want to put those on right now is because there's very little space to get this transmission up in here. Barely got it past the flywheel, and when I was taking it out, if you remember, in one of the videos, it shows the clutch and pressure plate assembly had to come out to get the transmission to come out of here. Anyway, when the transmission came out of here, it just fell. So it finally came out. So it's going to be tough to get it back up in here. Hopefully it won't be as tough as it came out, but you never know. So anyway, that's our next job, is just to get it up here, because I've got a couple days here and it's supposed to rain, and I want to get this thing up here and out of the way, out of the rain. So, well, that's it for now. Until next video. Alright, as you can see, I have the transmission up in this thing now, all myself. Got a jack underneath it, and then I got it tied up through the fender well. It's where it actually mounts, the top of it mounts anyway, so it's real sturdy right there. Anyway, that rope's strong enough. That transmission just isn't very heavy, really. I carried it out here. So anyway, I just got the flywheel mounted and torqued to the specifications it called for. Flywheel's all resurfaced and all shiny now. I'm getting ready to put the clutch and pressure plate in. So it's been a big job today, I tell you. So I've assembled the whole transmission today and got it in the car. There you have it. If I get the clutch and pressure plate in a little bit, I'll do some more videoing. Alright, well, got the new clutch in and pressure plate. As you can see, still got my tranny kind of tied. It's not actually tied up now. I've got a jack underneath it, and I'm getting ready to try to get the thing married back to the motor, which is going to be a lot of fun by myself. So, anyway, just about there. Be nice if I could get it on there tonight and bolt it in at least. That would be a big relief. The starter is going to be a bear. You got to get crap underneath the car to do it. But anyway, that's where I'm at so far. So it sure has been a job. If you can see under here, I had the rope coming through here and I had it tied back down to the frame, so it actually held that transmission up. So, but I've got a jack underneath it right now, which isn't real safe. As long as I don't get underneath the thing, I'll be alright. So we'll see how it goes from here. Well, hopefully the next time I video, I will have this thing in. So, see you in a bit. Alright. It's starting to get dark. I'm going to have to quit. Anyway, I've got the transmission mounted back in here. I'm having the biggest problem though getting that boot back on that axle. I'm going to have to wait to get the jacks out from underneath it so I can get under there, because I have no way of getting underneath there, clear up underneath there to reach that, to work on it. So I'm going to have to get the rest of the mounting done. The engine and transmission is still sitting on the jacks. I do have the transmission bolted to the engine now. So, but now I've got to get the mounts put back on so it holds itself up. And then I get them jacks out from underneath that, fix that, put the starter in, because I'm going to have to crawl underneath there to put that starter in. That ought to be fun. Anyway, still got a lot of stuff to put together, so the next day or two, hopefully I can get it all put back together. Tuesday's supposed to start raining, so I don't know if I'll get it done before then or not. But anyway, this is how far I've gotten today, and it's been a job. Thing did not want to go in. There you can see my jacks holding the engine and transmission up. I have to put the other axle piece in there, coupling, and then there's the other axle that goes in. So anyway, there it is. Well, it's been a monster. So it didn't go in very easy. It didn't just pull in there. It went in, and it was about a ½ inch out, and I ended up having to pull it in with bolts, and it was hard to get in there. So had one bolt in the back I think had been stripped out before, but I ended up putting Loctite on it. I hope I never have to take it out again. It'll probably strip the aluminum clear out, and I guess I could always put a helicoil in it. But anyway, so there you have it. I'll be videoing again once I get more done. Alright, today we're going to try to get the motor mounts put back in this thing. The front motor mount I'm going to have to redo. I've got to work on that a little bit, so that's going to slow the project down just a little. But if I can get this top motor mount in, it'll actually help hold the motor and everything in. So if I can get that in, I'll be in good shape. So that'll at least keep it from falling on me. So that's what my plans are today. That motor mount goes right there. If you can see that. And it's sunny right there. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Here we've got the motor mount, the top motor mount put back in. It's kind of a bear. It didn't want to line up exactly, but that's to be expected. I've kind of wiggled this engine all over the place. So that holds the whole transmission and engine up. Now there's two more. I've got to put one in the back and one in the front, and I'll probably have to jack it around to get it there. But I wanted to show you before I put these plugs in where these bolts come through that mount this motor mount to the fender well. So under here, I've showed you this before, but as you can see, the bolts are in there, and then you can see this plug, these little rubber plugs go back up in there, keep water out. So that's the point I'm at right now. I put a little bit of Permatex on the bolt heads of those, because when you stick those through there with a socket, they want to fall off down into the frame there. So it's easier to just put something sticky in there to hold them. It kind of makes a mess, but it keeps them bolts from falling out of your socket when you put them in there. And I used a double extension, and I had to lean over the fender well while I lined it up in here. I kind of held it with this hand and leaned over with the other hand with a double ½ inch extension with the socket on it. fed it in like a screwdriver, you know. And that's how I got that in there. It's wasn't easy to do really, but it's not as hard as some of the other projects on this. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Getting ready to put these plugs back in, and then I'll figure out another job to do on this. I need to get the motor mounts in, or that back motor mount in, and then I've got to customize the front motor mount because of the bushing was completely out of the front motor mount, causing it to kind of slap around a little bit. So we've got to fix that. So, well, until next video. Alright, here's what we've got. This is the front motor mount. The bushings have been wore out in this piece right here, as you can see. You don't want the bolt flopping around in there like that. It goes through that hole right there, and then this piece goes in here like that. Okay, similar. Anyway, that's the bolt that goes through the center. This bolt will eventually go through one of these. However, it's too small right now. Okay, but what's going to happen here is I'm going to press this in. Actually, these two are going to be pressed in like that. I'm going to press them in, these two pieces. Then I'll take these two, mount on each side, which will have that pressed in piece. And notice I've got a little bit left over there on the edges. You can see that. I'm going to have to grind that off once I get it in there where I want it. I'll have to grind that off, and then the bolt will fit through it, and that'll be my bushing. If I didn't do that, that piece, I don't know if that's included, but that piece right there is $120. That's a little much. So we're going to try to improvise. Hopefully it'll work. And the rear motor mount is still in good shape. So I've got to get this done and get it in before I can do much else. So there you have it. Okay, I've got the pieces pressed in, as you can see. There's a little bit of a lip there. That's the side I'll be grinding off on each side. But I use the 3-in-1 oil. I just put in just a light oil to help press those in. And I just cranked the vise up. Notice I got aluminum pieces on there, so it didn't booger the edges all up of the brass or bronze or whatever that is. Anyway, it worked out real well. They went right in, and so now I have to actually drill them out to the size of the bolt hole. So hopefully that'll work out okay. And then if it does, we'll be in business. So with that, there we go. Alright, we've almost finished this project now. As you can see, there's my brass bushings all ready to go. Now I'm going to pop them back out because they don't fit extremely tight in that mount. So, and I'm going to take some blue Permatex and kind of coat them with that and stick them back in that hole, and that way it'll kind of take up a little bit of slack, and it'll just help for wear probably, maybe, I don't know. It'll help them stay in there anyway, because they're kind of loose in there a little bit. Well, I don't know. I can't seem to pop them out very good. That's because I just ground down the edges of them. Anyway, by golly, that beats $120 for a new mount. So that'll fix that. The rubber's still good on it, so that'll work real well. So there we go. That little project's just about done. I'm about ready to put them in. So just thought I'd show you that before we put them back in. I haven't even tried the bolt in it yet, but look there. Yeah. Nice. Alright. There we go. Okay, I'm underneath the car, and I had the toughest time I'm trying to get this in focus here. Right there, that boot right there was the hardest thing to get on. There's grease all over it. I wiped it off, but just there's grease all over. I bet it took me 2 hours to get the thing on there. That metal strip makes it almost impossible, and I don't know if I can get it. It's lobed, and it dips in, the rubber dips in with the metal there, and it is really a hard job up underneath the car. Now, I've also got the rear motor mount in. Sorry for the blurry video, but I don't have a lot of room to get back far enough. Here's the rear motor mount I reinstalled on the transmission and onto the frame. In the prior video you saw me redoing the front motor mount. The rear motor mount was okay. So we're getting ready to put the front motor mount in right here. There's a lobe right there in the center of the screen that where it bolts to the tranny and then bolts to the front member there. So we're getting ready to do that, and right here I've got this other, it looks just like that piece goes in there yet in the tranny, and then or in the transfer case, and then it goes onto the axle, which is right up, hard to see up there. It'll be going in there. Anyway, this is the underside of this crazy car. So got a lot of work to do yet. So well, we've got the front motor mount in. That saved me a lot of money by customizing that one. It didn't go in real easy. I had to end up prying right here with a big old bar and kind of turning it a little bit just so the hole would line up. So, but I got it. So you got the front motor mount, you have the top motor mount, and then down in there you have the back motor mount. Of course, you've got the front of the motor. That's the front mount. I never did take that off. The engine just kind of hinged on that as I jacked it up and down. So anyway, it's coming right along now. That was a big job. The biggest job was that boot down in here. Right there. That thing is unbelievably hard. Imagine the one I put in here will equally be as hard. So I just can't really wait to do that. Anyway, I've got a lot done today. I've got to get under there again. I've got to put the starter in. It goes, I believe, right up in there someplace, right there behind those two holes you see. The motor, or the starter, goes in the opposite way there, clear up underneath there. That's going to be a pretty tough job too, so can't hardly wait to get up there and do that. So that may be one of my next jobs, to get that up there while I have everything off so I can get to it easy. So, well, that's what I've got completed today. I believe it's almost break time, so I'll see you in the next video. Alright, I've got quite a bit more done. I've got the starter in. You can't see it because of the linkage cables that aren't hooked up yet. Got the speedometer cable hooked back in. The starter electronics, or wires, are hooked up. I've got the clutch, not cable, but the hydraulic hose line hooked up, and I've got the master cylinder, or the I always call those a slave cylinder, hooked back in. Looks like I'm a little bit low on my clutch fluid, so I may have to add some more of that here pretty soon. But anyway, that's how far I've got. I've also hooked up the backup switch again, Let's see, what else do we got down here? Had to actually bolt the tube back up to the transmission. All this stuff seems to take quite a bit of time to get done, but had my wife Laura get in the car and hit the clutch and to see if the slave cylinder's still working, and it's still working, so we're in business. Hopefully it's throwing it out of gear, at least throwing it, you know, I hope the clutch is working properly. So I've still got the axle to put together here on this side. That's going to be fun. I don't know if I'll get to that tonight or not. Depends on how tired I get. You know, I got quite a bit more to put together here, so until the next video, I'll see you later. Well, here we are. I've got most of it together. Got to put the linkage together yet. Got most everything else put together. It's nighttime. I had to put that plastic piece in. But I actually need to update you on this. I got that axle boot. I got the axle and everything put back in, and that boot went on a heck of a lot easier than the other one because I, well, for one, knew how to do it, but I was able to pry against the frame. As you see that frame down there, I was able to pry against that and pop it right on there. So it took, you know, not even 1/8 of the time to get it on there. So there's my linkage, and I got a metal piece that bolts down to the top of the transmission there. And then I'll get that all hooked up. Then I have to put the air breathing unit back on it, all that. But I think before I do that, I'm going to fill it up. If you see that screw or bolt head right there, that's where I fill the transmission up with gear oil. So, but as you see, I have the front tire on, and I got the brake caliper, everything. It still has good brakes on it. It'll probably sound really bad for a while because it's not been driven in a long time, and the rotors are really rusty, so that'll clean up pretty fast though. So anyway, it's down on the ground now, and so I've got to put the battery in it, hook up the linkage, got to hook up, I got to put oil in it, air breather, that stuff, and then I probably won't do it tonight, but I've got to put the console back together. But I can actually see if it's going to shift here in just a bit, so without the console in it. So anyway, that's where we're at tonight. It's getting really late. It's about 10:30 at night, but I'm going to keep working and try to get this done. So until next time. Well, I have to tell you, I don't know what time it is, probably midnight, 12:30 at night maybe. I've got it done, it's running. I jumped in it, put it in gear. It goes forward in all gears, and reverse works as well. Shifts real easy. I put me some more clutch fluid in, I believe. That helped. It's just a little low, it's on the minimum side. By golly, this thing is working. It sounds like a sewing machine because it's not been running in forever. So, it needs to warm up a little bit. I'm going to let it warm up, charge the battery, and tomorrow I'll probably tackle the console. Well, I may not get to it tomorrow, maybe the next day. Anyway, thing's running. Fires right up. This old car just keeps on going, despite all the abuse. So, well, there you have it. I also looked at the brake pads when I was messing with that rotor on this other side, and the brake pads are good. I got a lot of brake left on the front. So, anyway, I don't know about the back. The back probably needs redone. But anyway, I'm imagine it's going to be pretty noisy for a little bit on the brakes because of the rotors being so rusty. This thing has been setting since August of 2012, so it's been a long time. Finally got it fixed.